Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Thank you for setting aside the time to join me on this last session of this amazing course that you've been on for the past 8 weeks. Today is going to be a bit different. We're going to be focused completely on human design, and I am planning on doing different sessions with each of you specifically once I have your birth information, if I do not already. Those sessions are going to be a lot more detailed than this, probably over an hour each at least. There's so many facets to the human design system and so much valuable information I can't wait to share with all of you. So I'm very excited to start this human design journey and each of you that I've been on for a while now. So I'm gonna just briefly talk about what human design is. I know we talked a few weeks ago and I gave you some ideas, but just a refresher here. Human design is a system that came about in the 80s. It's been around for much longer, but the information was made available to humanity at that time. And the system pulls information from many different modalities, including astrology, the I Ching, the chakra system, which you'll see very clearly when you probably are, if you've looked at any of the body graphs that I sent over to you. The colored centers, they kind of might bring up the memories of things you've heard about the chakra systems in the past. So it involves all of these different systems and theories and creates a really detailed, consolidated system that provides design information for each of us and helps us know where our skills and where our abilities really lie, and where we can focus energy in achieving things in a peaceful and happy way in our lives and live with less pushback or things being easier with ease of motion and flow. So I wanted to let you know, as this class has been very much about self-empowerment and awakening, that this is definitely a system that is going to be another step, another notch in that journey for you. There are many different forms of empowerment that we pull from the human design system. And one of them to me is very important, that the system showed me that we each have our own unique skill set. We each have very specific abilities and places where our design lies to help us be strong. And we are raised in a society and with our schooling system and everything like that to try to, I would say, consolidate those skills and those uniquenesses, and seeing one in another person and wanting to strive for that and focusing on achieving things based on what others have achieved and what others are built to do. And I think that human design shows us that we're meant to really dig into the places that we excel, the things that make us special, the things that give us power, and not to diminish anything of ourselves because we don't have a certain piece that other people have, and in society today is considered a great piece to have, or a piece of success, or something that will make us valuable. I would also say that human design definitely will teach you about compassion. There's really no way to go so deep into understanding yourself and not at the same time grow your understanding of everybody else and those around you. Even the most difficult of relationships or the most difficult of people for you to understand, you really can see how design and also conditioning from other people lead many people to be the way that they are, and a lot of compassion comes from that. And I think compassion is a big deal right now, and we're all learning that, going through everything that's going on the planet, that we're all connected, and we're gonna go through this together. We're going through these new stages of Earth together. We're doing all of this together, and we need to embrace our differences rather than letting them separate us further in a negative way. I've noticed when I do these human design charts on individual people that sometimes themes can arise, and a specific focus or a very specific ability that arises in 7 different places in your chart. And you'll know what I'm talking about in just a few moments when I explain the charts to you, where these different sections of the chart are and where the different information comes from them. So to see something come up and be spoken to you 7 times, it's very serious. It's something that is a deep part of you that deserves to be acknowledged. So I hope that pointing these things out to you guys and sharing these amazing parts of each of you will help you guys to appreciate yourselves and those around you even more. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you the chart that I have printed, and I shared this with you all online. If hopefully you all have it in front of you. I did either a generic chart of Mother Teresa, which you're looking at here. If you have given me your birth information, I went ahead and sent you those charts as well. So look at yours or the generic one, whatever is available to you is absolutely fine. I'm just gonna show you a little bit about what the body graph looks like. So this is a body graph, and there's a lot of pieces of information here, a lot of numbers and colors and lines and connections, and it seems like there's so much information, but everything is intertwined and everything makes sense and comes together and comes from very specific information. So I'm gonna start by explaining to you how human design is really decided. What does it come from? Just like with the astrology system, it's really pulling information from your birth date, time, and location. So the numbers that you will see that line the 2 sides of your body graph are gonna be the numbers that represent where each of the planets and celestial bodies have been during your birth. And so each planet, each celestial body is represented on the side here. We have the sun, the earth, the moon, Jupiter, and so on and so forth. Now, when we're born, the specific location of those planets, it shows us very detailed information about ourselves. So we pull a number from each planet's location, and then you'll notice another set of almost similar numbers. Sometimes you'll see on the chart that sometimes there's some lines that can be 2 different colors together intertwined. It's really all that really means is that you have the same number on both sides. Now, the red line of numbers is actually pulled from 3 months prior to your birth. So when you are still in the womb, 3 months prior to your birth, human design pulls this whole section of numbers that gives you another part of your design. And human design says that this information, the red numbers or the information that comes prior to your birth is an ancestral information, something from your past, something from your grandparents, if in a simple way to say. So it's part of your design that comes from your history, your whole soul's history. It's very interesting. So each of these numbers then is going to pertain to a gate that is listed here in the system, and these gates and channels, which are gates that connect to each other, and as you know what a channel is, so gates that connect and create a flow between places. The places we're discussing are these little shapes they're called centers in the human design system, and the channels flow between them. So the different shapes are different centers. There are 9 different centers at this point as a human, and we either have them defined or opened, as you'll see in the charts. So a defined center would be colored, an open center will be clear or white, and it's important to know in human design that it's not better or worse to have something be defined or open, a channel, a gate, a center, all of these places. They're just unique to us. So we don't want to, again, what I mentioned before, we don't necessarily want to focus on the parts of ourselves that are being shown as not to be where we should operate from and try to build those up. We really should be focusing on the parts of ourselves that are defined or colored in on the chart that are really innate to who we are, that help us to operate in the best way for ourselves and make decisions and move forward in life the best way that we should. The sorry, one moment. The open centers are places in our system where we are susceptible to conditioning or to ideas about ourselves that come from other people or other systems. So say you have something open up here, the head center. If your head center is open, you will have a way of operating that you'll notice if you're trying to make your decisions and trying to experience life with your focus coming through the head center while you have it opened. So there are things that you will notice that you may be saying and discomforts that you're experiencing in life and not understand what they're attached to. The head center's not self theme or not self questions is, am I trying to answer everybody else's questions? Am I trying to solve everybody else's problems? If you find this being a real theme in your life of feeling overwhelmed by needing to solve the problems of the people around you and to find solutions for all those people, and it's really weighing you down, you should take a look at your human body graph design and think if maybe you're operating your focus from these centers that are maybe they're not necessarily hurting you, but not having you live up to your complete potential of really being your true, unique, individualized self. So each of these centers has a different not self theme. They're all different. Again, I mentioned the chakra systems before. So if you're more familiar with that and want to kind of think of it that way a little bit to get used to the idea of there being centers in the body, it's really just about different parts of our life and how we let them shine out to the world and how we express ourselves to others. And I think we all know also to ourselves, how honest are we to ourselves about our individuality, about who we should be, and let ourselves be that way without being told that we need to operate a different way. So there's a few centers in the body, probably I want to say 6 of them that have the opportunity to be where your main authority comes from. So where you really should put forth when you're making a decision, when you are taking a big step in life. A lot of us are designed to think that those decisions and things need to come from the brain, from the mind, from the head centers, really. But that is not the case. The head centers are never going to be an authority for anybody. Our decisions are not to be made by overthinking and considering things that way. And if you have certain open centers compared to others, it can tell you exactly how you should make decisions very specifically. So the example that I have here of Mother Teresa, if you notice the second center from the bottom is filled in. This is a red center. I apologize. This is the Sacral Center, and if you have the Sacral Center filled in, you have a specific internal motor within you. So this internal motor helps you to keep working, to keep striving, to keep moving forward, and you have energy, abundant of energy to do the things in your life that add value to you, that bring joy to you, that ignite the spark in your heart, that make you feel love. You can find yourself, if you happen to have this fixed center, this sacral motor, that if you put yourself really deeply into a job or a constant task, that you're gonna find you will experience a little bit of burnout if it is not something that brings joy to you. You can take advantage of the fact that you have this internal motor and think it is there for you to do anything with, and realize that it's not necessarily going to help you when it comes to doing something that's not true to you, that does not bring you joy. It can cause a lot of frustration in your life if you're letting out your energy to things that are not valid for you, that are not aiding you in your awakening process, that you really didn't have the energy to put out for in the beginning. The thing that goes along with that is that your aura is a specific type of aura when you have this internal generator, and it's an enveloping aura that actually draws people and life directly into you, and it makes for the strategy that you need to follow as somebody who has this innate internal motor of waiting to respond to your own energy calling, I would say. So as somebody who has this motor inside of them, this sacral center defined, you are going to want to wait for something to come into your aura, to come into your center, to come into your circle, that you can respond to with either an excitement or this is not right for me. And in that needs to be a little bit of pause, because your initial response may not be your true response. And that's where the waiting to respond comes in. So you are going to want to really think about how your energy will be expelled in a new system, or in a new job, or in just a new undertaking, whatever it may be. On the other side of that, there are other people who don't have that center defined. The sacral center can be open in many people. Without that sacral center, you're not going to have that internal motor that keeps you moving forward further and further. And your purpose likely could be, say, if you're operating from a defined throat with the channel connecting to somewhere else. And bear with me with some of this language. I will clarify all of it with you when we do our personal body graphs, and please ask me any questions at the end if you did not understand some of the words I'm saying. I'm trying to give you as much deep information as I can without muddling too much, without giving you too much information at the same time. So I am briefly mentioning gates and channels, and you may not 100% understand what those things are. But again, please ask me questions at the end, and I'm happy to go deeper into it with you when we speak and we have a full time together. So say you have this throat center, which you can obviously see will be located around the throat. That gives you an idea of the throat center. I will break down these again with you in our further sessions. So if you have that, you could likely be somebody who is here to push the spark of something new into the world. And you're not necessarily there to follow your spark or idea or new theme for the planet through to the end. A lot of times your skill would be to spark that idea and then pass it on to somebody that has that defined internal motor, that sacral motor that I discussed, so that they can then place that into play. They can take your idea and run with it and make something come to be and generate your manifestation into being. It's quite interesting. A lot of us in our class here have that defined sacral center and that internal motor, and I think that's wonderful. There's a large population of people on the planet who have the internal motor. We're kind of really designed as a society to have that motor, to be able to continue working. I mean, if you think about the 40-hour work week, it's kind of related to that, except it's not ever taking into consideration that if something is not igniting your joy or sparking your happiness, that's not what that generator power, that generating power of that sacral center is really for. It's not for doing something repetitively that does not bring you a positive change or positivity into your life. So I did want to just briefly explain to you a little bit what the channels and gates, the type of information that can be pulled from those, because we know now that the different centers being defined or opened, When you have an open center, that's where you're open to conditioning. So within there, that's where you need to pay attention to things that are coming to you, changing your composition in a not true way, in an untrue way, taking you away from your individualization. So the channels themselves and the gates have extremely detailed information. There are 64 gates. I know there are billions of people, but can you only imagine the different combinations of gates being ignited or not, and how people really interact? I mean, if you can imagine a chart being put on top of another one with different lines and different fixed centers, and you could see how one person's chart can complete another's, and we really play off each other with our different skills and our different abilities and our different just ways of being. And we create comforts within each other and our families. And it's really amazing to see how things all connect, and the different things you have in common with the people that you have in your inner circle or your tribe. And you know, all of us, I have to say that I've pulled of our body graphs, and I mean, this is Carrie, Heather, everybody in our family. There's a big amount of information in many different places talking about our individuality. And I know the whole human design system is made to support that, but specific gates and specific channels and specific areas really push that forward. And I see that in all of our tribe here, that's a really big part of it, is us all being individuals, being our unique selves, and that being really important to us. And some people, I mean, that's not a big flag they hang in their life, and it is something that must have played part in each and one of our lives throughout, that must have noticed it. So that's one type of gate information you can receive. There are gates that talk about your ability to love everything, to love humans and plants and people, and have compassion for everybody. And that's a gift that certain people have ignited within them initially. And then other people, they complete that gate within themselves by being around somebody who has that within them. And so we all build each other up, and we all complete pieces of each other in a really natural way. You can have a gate that will describe how you are so at peace and calm and move slowly through the world, and you have no rush to accomplish anything, to do anything. And without knowing this, we could really be pushed to squelch those type of things. We could be told to move faster. We could be told that that's not the way to be. And human design is there for us to really get to know ourselves and realize where that's happening, where pieces of us that are designed to be there are being pushed away, are being pushed down, have been squashed. Our gifts, our abilities, things that are basically ignored and not acknowledged because of our conditioning from our upbringing or schooling, or just being around so many different designs and not acknowledging or knowing that they exist. So just acknowledging this system and acknowledging these differences is the first step. And it's an unfolding process, I would say. There's so much information that you will, over time, have revelations about yourself and the people around you, and things that have happened in your past, and why something went so wrong, or why something went so right, and why a decision was the right one. And there's even information that tells you certain people are meant to have all these different experiences in their life. There are certain people who have a profile that can separate their life into multiple stages. So from birth to 30 years old, you can have a completely different experience than your next stage of life from 30 to 50 years old. And that first stage would have involved a lot of experience, a lot of trying things and failing at things. And so trial and error, really a lot there. And then to come into a different part of yourself at around the age 30 and have a different experience, and to be almost a completely different person, that is something that a percentage of our population and people that you know and love have gone through. And it is not wrong or right. It's not your design, but it is theirs. And we need to allow for each person to be themselves. We need to allow for each person to shine through. I know that the way school has been for all of us back, even the maybe some of us older selves, the school has been the same for a really long time and really focused on everybody being put into the same box and being treated the same. I found a gate in human design that, I mean, I'm sure everybody knows these kids, that the kids that they actually have a great ability to focus on a specific task and accomplish what's at hand, but they cannot sit still. And it's not just kids, it's adults. So it doesn't, to be in school and see a child moving in their chair and twiddling their pencil, you automatically, as a teacher, may assume they're not focused, they're not paying attention, but it's not the same as another child without that gate doing the same action. It's not. They are focused, but their body needs to almost move and dance for them to be able to so hone in on something and focus so clearly. And I just see so many ways where we can really start empowering all humans, each of us, ourselves, the children. I mean, definitely they need to know at a young age these special parts of themselves, and not to discount their uniqueness and the way that they should be treated differently than another. And I think that it's really eye-opening to understand, just, I've said this before, but how much conditioning can really be affecting people, and how much frustration and anger they can be experiencing by never knowing their design and by never being allowed to live it, by never being allowed to live their unique true self. And that's a sad thing. And we're empowering ourselves, and we're going to empower others with this information of human design. And I think it's a great step forward into really understanding the different, I guess, idiosyncrasies of being human, and how immense of a thing is it that each one of us, each single human, comes to be born, and the location, the celestial body, the planets, these massive bodies, the sun has some say in what we are like. And I found, and every person I've done a body graph for so far, a personal session, everything is so on point. There's so many details about yourself. It's strange, it's uncanny, and it comes from the stars. It's amazing. I think you've probably heard this in ways. I hear this in some aspects of Buddhism. I've heard this in like different metaphysical talk about the universe without being within. And I think, I mean, human design really shows us that we are all so unique, and each of us so very powerful. I just wanted to share before I get into questions, which I'm sure there should be a few of them, just a personal empowerment that came from my human design sessions, stories, having my own session done by somebody else, was that me not having that center that we talked about, that constant generating center, the whole working a job consistently for many years and having a career is something that doesn't necessarily suit me. And not just me, a big section of our population does not necessarily suit us to continually do something, a line of work in maybe something that's a contract work or consultancy work is much better for somebody who does not have that generating capability. And for me to be able to take away the judgments I had on myself about not being successful because that was not part of my life plan is such a relief. I can't tell you. And it's just one aspect of my life. And I know that when you guys really go deep into your own charts, when I discuss this with you, that you're going to feel the same way about many parts of your life, and it's going to be freeing. It's very freeing. And it should be the same for for the other people in your life, you should feel free and relief, not just for yourself, but for them when you start accepting this information and knowledge. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute so that any questions can come through. Also, before I do that, I just want to say that if you have not gotten me your birth information, please don't hesitate to at any point send it over. Whenever, I'm happy to take my time and give you a session personally at any time after this class. It has been so wonderful being with all of you for the past 8 weeks. And during the week when it's not time for the class, I like to think about just this tribe that we're growing, and this group that we are all very connected from doing this together, and it's quite exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute you now. Actually, I think I've made it so you can unmute yourself now. Please let me know if that's not the case. Okay.
Okay, can I say something?
Yes, please.
You know what, I've been listening to all of this stuff for a while, and it's like there's a lot of it to understand. Better to be open, or is it better to be closed? And I'm like, no. It's not like that, because what this is showing me, which is very, very, very exciting to me, is it is taking every single person to build a puzzle. So what's more important for us is to figure out how we can connect with another person to bring out their best and bring out our best. And it just shows that we really need the whole puzzle. We're all a piece of the puzzle. Everyone is unique and necessary to bring what they bring to the table. And that was really helpful for me to understand. And for whatever reason, it just came to me. And also, you look so cute. You're so intelligent. I love what you're doing there, Donna. Okay, sorry, I had to say it.
Ashley, I have a question. Ashley,
Hi,
can you hear
Carrie.
me?
Yeah, hi, Carrie.
Hi. Can you explain the numbers, how they came up with the particular numbers associated with the symbols?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, 36 to 6. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the body graph that you see is pulled from the human design system, which actually it shows there's a lot more information that's not present on that body graph that you would see. And I'll show you. I'll give you a printout when we go over your birth information. There's a big large ring of hexagon type shapes with lines. There are division lines throughout the circle. It's this entire graph that's different than the body graph that you see, that shows, that has a place for each planet, kind of, and depending on the time, the location of the planet, a specific type of, they use the word neutrinos in human design. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's kind of talking about like the weighted energy in the air, the universal energy type of, I don't want to do too many strange words to make it too weird, but a different, like an energy flux that's happening that when you're born. So, and it all is about, I guess, it's interesting, like my mom said, Teresa's saying about the puzzle, the same with the planets. So the planets create, as we know, we have the sun, the earth, everything is in orbit around each other. And as each planet is in one specific position, it allows for a specific set of neutrino data to kind of come in with you as you're born. So when you see the full human design circle and where the I Ching information comes in, you can see a little bit more about the layout of where the numbers specifically are coming from. But they just correlate to a specific location for the symbols, which are related to each planet or sun, moon, celestial body that affects us here on Earth. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty detailed. It's the numbers and things like that. I don't want to get too convoluted, but it's very easy for me to show it to you when I sit with you and go into your personal chart.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Are there any other questions?
Hey, Ashley, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So I just wanted to ask you what is the next step? I know that Carrie, at least Carrie and Heather, have provided you the information. You're saying for anybody else later on who probably watch the YouTube, maybe they can contact you or okay. We can, is that, maybe we can provide an email address or something, or maybe like on the Awake School, they can go to the Awake School and send an email there with their information. Then you and I will have that information and we can pass it through.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Absolutely. Yeah. Just I like using the Awake School. I want to keep building that up and adding more facets to this. So I think we go through that way. And yeah, even after viewing the YouTube, please reach out and I'm happy to work with you. Anyone that's been going through this class, the Awake School, I'm happy to do that. Definitely at no charge, no problem, anytime.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time and
Yeah.
preparation. I know that takes a long time. I mean, I studied a lot of this parts of it with you, so I understand how involved it is. So thank you so much for simplifying all of that for us. And I really look forward to going deeper into that and understanding not just myself, but the tribe and how to allow everybody to, again, have more self-empowerment and more joy in their lives. And I see that as a pivotal issue for everyone to understand, is to understand at least the basic design that they put together for themselves and the basic designs that is around their family and friends that allow that to flourish and to bloom. So thank you so much for your help, Ashley. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. And yeah, I think that this system can really help also to heal a lot of old wounds. I know a lot of us have those from the past, so it really helps to gain a new perspective on past experiences and things that we've gone through that have been very heavy and they're hard to look through, to look at it through a different lens, to look at it through a human design lens and see what our perspectives can be after from that. And I think that never to underestimate how important it also is to focus on positive experiences that we had in the past, to not recreate them, but to continue to have things like that. So to realize how we were acting in our design, not just in the moments when things were not going well, but in the moments when they were, in the moments when everything was right, when everything coalesced in a perfect way in our past, in those moments, and to focus on how we can keep bringing those into our life. So,
Thank you.
yeah. So I think we are getting finished up here. I just want to check. Are we good with everything? Does anyone have anything else to say? No. I think we're good. Okay. Then I had such a nice time being here with you today, and I am looking forward to setting up sessions with those of you who I've not scheduled yet, and to completing the ones we have. And I will keep on the lookout for anybody whose birth information has not come through yet. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful day in this beautiful sun with love.